I ignored 43 calls from my family while boarding a plane they expected me to cancel. Not because I didn't care, but because for the first time in my life I chose myself. They always said family comes first. What they really meant was, I should come last. For years I was the solution to every crisis. The emergency babysitter. The late-night rescuer. The one who sacrificed plans, money, sleep dreams. Until one simple question changed everything. What do you want? This is the story of the moment I finally said no and how that single word almost destroyed my family, but somehow saved my life. The first voice message came with my mother's scream. The second carried my sister's sobs. By the 12th call, they were no longer pretending to stay calm. In the airport terminal, I stared at my phone, still holding the passport that had cost me 2 years of overtime. Dozens of missed calls. A pile of unheard messages. All from them. I didn't play a single one. Instead, I smiled, because for the first time in my life, the chaos swallowing them was no longer my responsibility. For most of my life I had been the reliable one, the good daughter, the helpful sister. A polite way of saying I was the family's free solution to every problem. My sister Melissa had children young, 2 of them loud and restless, always needing attention. It was exhausting, and somehow I became the default babysitter. Weekends, late nights, holidays, whenever Melissa needed a break. My mother always defended her. You don't have children, she would say. You have free time. What she meant was simple and sharp. Your life matters less. For years I believed it without question, until I met Claire. She had a way of looking at things that made the truth impossible to ignore. The first time my sister dropped the kids on us without asking, Claire simply raised an eyebrow and quietly asked, "Do they ever ask what you want?" The question sounded small, but no one had ever asked me that before. So we started building something that belonged only to us. Boundaries. Plans. A life that felt real. 2 years earlier we began saving for an anniversary trip. Nothing extravagant, just a week by the ocean. Silence. Time that was ours alone. Every extra dollar went into that fund. Every cancelled dinner, every skipped purchase, every overtime shift carried the same secret promise. The trip became sacred. On the evening before our flight, my phone rang. While Claire and I packed, she looked at the screen and sighed. "Your mom," she said softly. "I already know what happened. Your sister needs you tomorrow." There was no greeting, no warmth. Only expectation. Why? Melissa and Darren were leaving town. Something unexpected had come up. I needed to watch the kids for the weekend. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was painfully predictable. "Mom," I said calmly, "our flight is in a few hours." Her reply came without hesitation. "Then cancel it." Just like that. 2 years erased with a single sentence. Claire stopped folding clothes and looked at me, waiting. For the first time in my life I didn't hesitate. "No." Silence answered me from the other side. Then it shattered into anger. "What do you mean no?" she demanded. "Family comes first." I glanced at Claire, then at the suitcase. "Exactly," I said, and ended the call. The storm began minutes later. Melissa called first, then my mother again, then both together. Voices rising, accusations falling like rain. By midnight I muted the phone. By morning I turned it off completely. For the first time in years I boarded a plane without guilt sitting beside me. When we landed hours later, I switched the phone back on. It vibrated violently in my hand. Messages stacked like bricks. "Where are you?" Melissa had to cancel her trip. "The kids are crying." "You're so selfish." I scrolled slowly, calmly, until I reached the last message from my mother. If you don't start behaving like family, don't bother coming back here. I read it twice. Then I locked the screen and felt something inside me finally break into place. Not rage. Not sadness. Clarity. They had never seen me as family. They saw me as a resource, convenient and replaceable. Disposable. So I decided to act accordingly. I didn't respond for the rest of the week. The beach was quiet. Claire slept beside me while the sun warmed my shoulders. For the first time in years, they were not burdened by someone else's expectations. As the ocean moved in slow, endless waves, I began to plan. Not revenge. Correction. When we returned home, a heavy silence greeted me. Passive aggression hung in every corner. Short answers. Avoided eye contact. Punishment disguised as disappointment. It was exactly what I expected. So I made the first real move. I stopped helping. No babysitting. No emergency visits. No midnight problem solving. Every request received the same calm answer. No. At first, they assumed it was temporary. Then confusion crept in. After that came panic. Months later my sister called again, truly called this time. No shouting. No demands. Just exhaustion. Can you watch the kids this Saturday? She asked quietly. My voice stayed steady. No. But I'm sure you'll figure it out. The silence that followed was thick and unfamiliar. In the past I would have given in. This time I didn't. You've changed, she whispered. Yes, I replied, and ended the call. The real confrontation happened weeks later at my parents' house during a strained family dinner. Tension sat at the table like an extra guest. My mother broke first. You've become distant, she said. I took a slow sip of water. You told me not to come back if I didn't behave like family. Her expression faltered. That's not what I meant. No. I said gently. That's exactly what you meant. Melissa scoffed, accusing me of punishing them for needing help. I leaned back in my chair and met both their eyes. I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm correcting my mistake. They stared at me, confused. I smiled faintly. For years, I thought I was part of this family. The room fell silent as the realization settled in. The babysitter was gone. The lever of guilt had finally snapped. The version of me they had controlled no longer existed. Later that night, Claire squeezed my hand in the car. Are you okay? She asked. I looked out the window, watching the dark streets slide past. This time I felt light. Not angry. Not bitter. Just tired. And finally free. Yes, I said quietly. For the first time, I really am. Weeks turned into months, and something unexpected began to happen. Without me filling every gap, they started finding their own solutions. Melissa arranged schedules, hired help, even learned to say no herself. My mother stopped calling every day. The silence that once felt like punishment slowly became space. Space where I could breathe, build, exist without being needed for everything. It was uncomfortable at first, like walking on a leg that had just healed. But it was also honest. One evening my phone rang again. I almost ignored it, then saw my mother's name and answered. Her voice was softer than I remembered. She didn't ask for anything. She didn't accuse me. She simply asked how I was. We spoke for a few minutes about ordinary things. The weather, work, a recipe she had tried. When the call ended, I realized something important. Boundaries had not destroyed my family. They had revealed what kind of relationship was possible without sacrifice. I don't know what the future will look like. Maybe we will grow closer in healthier ways. Maybe we will remain distant but respectful. What I do know is this. Love that demands your disappearance is not love at all. And the day I chose myself was not the day I lost my family. It was the day I finally stopped losing myself.